The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
And by the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But
he's back. He's back. Literally, he asked his supporters in Wilmington, North Carolina today to, use a gun to stop Hillary. He's back. He's back. One day on script and then, another 91 days off script. He can't stay on message. This man is irresponsible. There's just no question about it. And the list of people who are telling you this is growing. It's growing, but not his little hands. Oh, maybe he should play volleyball. Okay, I was subjected to that last night. I was made to watch women's volleyball last night. I was sitting there trying to do homework, and from the room next to my office is the room where the Howard watches the big TV. Hey, Ren, you really ought to come in. You'll love this. You'll really love. This is not like the volleyball you played in high school. This is like the real stuff. This is 2-on-2, man. This is 2-on-2. And so I go, I'm not into it, okay? Enjoy the Olympiad. I'm not into it. No, you really got to come in. You got to look. You got to. So I got up, I looked, and I realized he likes it because it's West Coast soft porn. It's women in little tiny slivers of fabric smashing balls back and forth between each other. It's soft. It's soft porn is what he loves. But, the Muslim countries play too. And they're fully clothed. I mean, fully clothed. I mean, hijabs and everything. The German girls, they wear butt floss. The Muslim girls, they're covered up. So I'm going to make him one. Well, I guess Egypt is out. I guess they're out. They were out on Sunday. But anyway, so the list of the Donald Trump, never, ever, never Trumps. It's just increasing. It's growing exponentially by the minute. Last night, I don't know, it was probably when the volleyball was on. I don't know what time that was, 9:00. Susan Collins had written a op-ed for the Washington Post. It was released last night. And so, I was able to see it. And she said, absolutely, never, ever. I cannot vote for Trump. I just don't. He has the temperament is scary. He doesn't have the knowledge. He's not very bright. So then they asked her, Jamie Gangel asked her this morning, so who are you going to vote for? And she said, well, I'm not going to vote for Hillary. I can't do that. I guess the polling tells her that because previously she had said she had worked with Hillary on any number of issues and found her to be extremely helpful. But now she says, no, I can't vote for Hillary. But I guess I would vote for Gary Weld if he were at the top of the Libertarian ticket. But he's not. It's Gary Johnson. And I can't vote for Gary Johnson because Gary Johnson makes me think about, all the issues he has surrounding the topic of drugs. Which makes me think she also watches Bill Maher, who's on vacation for a month. That must be nice. Sam, a whole freaking month? Anyway, before he left, he interviewed Gary Johnson, as you'll remember, and Gary Johnson told him he hadn't had edibles in 8 days. So I guess this is why Susan Collins does not know who she's going to vote for. She says she's never not voted for her party's nominee, and she is a Republican. And so she doesn't know exactly what she's going to do. But the list of people who are never Trump is so huge. It's so gigantic now. I mean, you've got, you have the entire Bush family except for Jeb P. He's down with the Trump. You got Romney and his whole family. You got every single person in the security community, from Homeland Security to the CIA to the DIA to the NSA to the old PNAC people to the DARPANET people. I mean, John Negroponte, he won't support Trump. George Will from the dean of conservative columnists, he says he's leaving the Republican Party because Trump could be their nominee, and it's just not his party anymore. Doesn't understand it. Leon Wolf, the editor of Red State, he says he's going to probably vote for the Libertarian too. He said, I genuinely believe that Hillary Clinton would be a better president than Trump. It's not even close, he wrote. I mean, this list is growing. And then you have, House members. You got Richard Hanna from New York. You got Charlie Dent from Pennsylvania. Ileana Ros-Lehtinen from Miami, from Florida. Oh, my God. I guess it had to do with, the Latino comments, the Mexicans or Hispanics and race. She's Cuban, but, I think she gets what time it is in Miami. Where, by the way, I'm so glad I can still shop because I learned Spanish. Sí, yo puedo comprar en las tiendas en Miami. Porque yo entiendo español. Wow. Yeah. Charlie Dent from Pennsylvania, Ileana, Adam Kinzinger from Illinois, former Air Force pilot, Scott Rigel from Virginia, Bob Dole, also from Illinois. And then you go over to the Senate, you got your Lindsey Graham, you got your Ben Sass from Nebraska, you got your Jeff Flake from Arizona, you got your Mark Kirk from Illinois, who's going to lose anyway. And then, you got Hank Paulson, the former Treasury Secretary, Michael Chertoff from Homeland Security, Michael Hayden, the CIA and the NSA director, both two intels in one. Like I said, you got John Negroponte, Tom Ridge, the very first Homeland Security director from Pennsylvania, governor from Pennsylvania as well. You've got William Ruckelshaus, the very first person to ever head up the newly created EPA under Richard Nixon. I mean, you got all these people just saying absolutely, positively, never, ever Trump, just never going to happen. And then there's, many, many articles about Trump should drop out. The only concern they have about Trump dropping out is his freaking supporters, who he has all agitated and stuff. And now today, that's why this is such an important little 15 seconds of Trump.
And by the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks.
Except shoot her.
Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you could. I know I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and still be president. Maybe you could, too. And so all they're worried about now inside the Republican Party, which really doesn't exist anymore because he broke it, is this fear of his supporters. They don't know what to do about the supporters. They said, listen, they're very, it's funny. I can sort of read between the lines in this article. This is a Politico article that says, I'd rather take our chances with nearly anyone else than continue with this certain loser who will likely cost the Senate and much more. A New Hampshire Republican said, I'm going to guess that was Kelly Ayotte. I don't know. But I can tell you this one, the effect Trump is having on down ballot races has the potential to be devastating in November, added a Florida Republican. His negative image among Hispanics, women, and independents is something that could be devastating to Republicans. Trump's divisive rhetoric to the Hispanic community at large has the potential to be devastating for years to come. I'll bet you that was Ileana. I mean, who else could it be? But then they go on to say that they are so scared of the grassroots. They said that they are that they're very sensitive about the suggestion that the Republican National Committee select a replacement. And again, they're discussing those rules, okay? And they're saying that they're authorized to reconvene the National Convention, which, by the way, would be logistically impossible. But they're saying that they're authorized and they could. But if they pick somebody else, if they actually convened to pick a substitute candidate, then what would they do about the grassroots ones? What would they do about them? They're very, they're very clear that the grassy rootsy ones would start some sort of a civil war in this country, and they're scared of him. They're really scared. They say that's why he's out there telling his supporters the whole thing is rigged. In case he loses, he's going to ask them to go all nuclear. And in case he's replaced, he's going to ask them to use their Second Amendment rights and go nuclear. That's what they go, well, I would love for Trump to drop out and anyone else to take the mantle. That kind of talk will only harden his supporters. We can't let them think we stole this from them. There's never been a better example of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So they are scared crapless of these crazy people that show up at these, Colorado Republicans said he's an egomaniac. There's no chance he would voluntarily exit the race. But what do we do about, we could kind of replace him. But what do we do about the supporters? What do we do about the grassroots? What do we do about them? And then somebody else who was kind of smart inside the GOP said, this is a Michigan Republican. I love how nobody will put their name on any of this. And I have to sit there and figure out which one it is. But it's just so stupid. You have this madman and you won't put your name on the fact that he's a madman, really? That's kind of lame, too, which is why I'll never be a Republican. But you have a Michigan Republican saying, Trump won the nomination. He should lose it fair and square. Only then will the base of this party have to reckon with what they've done. I want Trump to feel the blame for this loss, said an Iowa Republican, not to put it on the doorstep of the establishment. This is also fascinating, okay? Nobody will put their name on any of it, but everybody wants them out. They're scared to death of the grassroots people. They're just terrified that they will, and Trump is inciting them, to do something if he shouldn't, see it to Election Day, which is nearly impossible, okay? It's nearly impossible. Because, you do have this independent guy. What a non-news event that was. Evan McMullin, everybody? Evan McMullin? Anybody? CIA guy? Republican staffer, Capitol Hill, Alaska fisherman? Seriously. He announced that he's running and, called Trump a fraud, called him a con man, said he was, ill-suited to be the president of the United States, and nobody noticed. It's really interesting. Now, he did give a good interview, though. I think you should hear what he has to say. He said,
Donald Trump is no conservative. Let's get that straight.
But he's the nominee. He's won. He's the nominee.
He is. And he's achieved that through misrepresenting himself and exploiting vulnerabilities that the American people have. I do believe he's a fraud and he's a con man. And not only that, that's not something I say lightly. That is my professional opinion. I believe he is a fraud.
His professional opinion as a CIA covert officer. That's his professional opinion, that Donald Trump is a complete and utter fraud, which is fascinating because, the CIA has to figure out who's really going to be, a good operative, and who's going to be a good source. Whether the guy's got the real info. Oh, which brings to the spy. Are you following the spy story? Or you're not following the spy story about Shahram Amiri, the Iranian who was just recently executed in Iran? Nuclear scientist, they say. He actually taught at a university in Iran that's associated with the government of Iran. Anyway, this is of course, the story is being put out into the media by Donald Trump, because all that the media will talk about is whatever Donald Trump has his fingers on. Luckily for us, he's got his fingers in every pie. Every pie. I mean, he's even part of the Roger Ailes thing, which is a great story too today, okay? The Roger Ailes thing, it's not just Gretchen. Woof. Woof. It's not just Gretchen, the dachshund. It's not just Gretchen. It's 20 other women. Now, all of a sudden, Andrea Tantaros, who was demoted from The Five and forced to do that horrible show that I make fun of, the one Outnumbered with, what's his name? Greg Gutfield. I mean, that is the worst show ever in the history of television. And I watched a couple of episodes of Honey Boo Boo. And I'm telling you, that is the worst show ever on television, ever. Well, apparently she ended up on that show, Tantaros did, after she denied a sexual advance by Roger Ailes. He took her off the 5 and put her on that show, and her fans were wondering, like, where'd she go? She just disappeared into the ether, and they didn't know where she went. Turns out she has accused Roger Ailes of sexual harassment as well, and her lawyer believes that because she went to human resources, because she went to the lawyers at Fox and reported this sexual harassment, that he demoted her and then disappeared her, and that the retaliation is probably a better charge than the harassment itself. But it's really, really disgusting. I mean, when you think of like the Murdochs and the whole Fox News, thing, don't forget the phone hacking scandal. Do you remember that one? The phone hacking scandal that was broken in London, the Guardian newspaper, which is one of the great newspapers of the world. They started to report this big story about how they were tapping phones, and somehow what's his name, Piers Brosnan, the one that did the CNN for a few minutes, after the great Larry King retired. Now he's not there anymore either. He was, doing these, things with the phone. And then you had this Rebecca Brooks girl who was, excused from the company. They settled with her. They gave her $20 million in severance. $20 million in severance, and a company-funded show for Rebecca Brooks got after it was exposed that they were hacking people's telephones to get, gossip. She's back with the company, though. Nobody pays any attention to the whole company, or what goes on. But anyway, so let's not forget that that's right up their alley to do these. Well, it turns out the girls at Fox News did pay attention, because now they're saying that Gretchen and some other women as well have audio tapes of conversations had with Roger, with Ailes, while he was saying, "Do the twirl around. Let me see your ass." I'm sorry. I'm just gonna. I know, it's so disgusting. I told you I was in a room with him once. I was forced to go to a Fox News. I've told the story a million times, and how weird it was, and how the Fox News girls looked like strippers, how they were like, they're sprayed. I don't know with what, with like tanning product, whatever it is I want it, because they look like cotton candy. They don't look, you ever see a stripper like in a club on the pole, and you look at, and like a nice club. I'm not talking like Larry Flint Appalachian Club, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, a real gentleman's club, and they all look like cotton candy, like they're spray. If anybody could tell me what that is, I would buy that. I would want that. I would need that. I would use that. But that's how all the waitresses that were passing hors d'oeuvres and serving drinks, that's how they all looked. They all had the heavy, MAC Studio makeup and the pigment, and they all had the body spray. And I remember I told you I was felt so, and I had seen Laura Ingraham in the corner wearing a Vivienne Westwood. I'll never forget the blue dress. I've told this story so many times, and she was so drunk and nasty to me. "You trashed me on the air. Get away from me, you hag." I was like, "Nice to meet you." And then I wandered over to Shepard Smith, who was beckoning me. "Come over here. Come hang out with us." And so the only thing I could think of to say to Shepard Smith was, why do the girls look like this? First of all, why is every one of the wait staff, like under, just like right at 21, let's say, for legal purposes. And they're all like, dolled up. Like, what? There's no waiters. He goes, "Those are the Fox girls. We like them like that." And he was the nicest guy in the bunch. So can you imagine that the culture, encourages this kind of conversation with somebody you just met from a liberal talk network, and you're telling her, So now it all makes like freaking a lot of sense. That these women are all coming out in droves saying that, Ailes told them to do the twirl around in the office, and that they had gone to the lawyers, and that they said they would look into it, and no action was ever taken. And, now they're saying some of the former PR executives who had to cover this stuff, for Andrew Butcher, he told Gabriel Sherman, who wrote the book on Roger Ailes, he told him, Roger deserves to end his career in disgrace. It seems that Rupert's tolerance of his excesses has finally been rejected, as the two sons modernize Fox and bring it in line with what's acceptable in the 21st century. Do you know? I mean, but you have 21st Century Fox, which is the parent company now, in conversations, in settlement conversations with Gretchen Carlson to settle her lawsuit, apparently because she's got audio tapes. But it's not just her. It's not just her. They're so afraid that, Megan's got a couple. They're afraid that Andrea Tantaros might have a few. Now, you think about it. How bad does the crap have to be at your office that you're taking a tape recorder or you're putting your iPhone, on record and you're, facing it? I've done that. I did that at the polling place when I was scrubbed from the voter list. She was kind of hip to it. She said, I'm not talking to you. She'll turn that off. I go, but it's face down. She goes, just turn it off. But apparently they're just so stupid over there that these women were able to record Roger saying, all kinds of things like, I helped you, you helped me, this. And of course, it's Trumpian because Trump has defended Roger Ailes as a great guy who helped these women so much. And that a recent book praised him, and now the same person is trashing him, and that has to be Andrea Tantaros because her book just came out, and they disappeared her saying that she didn't clear her book with them.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.